Hello, and welcome back. I'm your host, Elle. I'm joined today by digital contributor Larry Johnson to discuss the grid. Larry's been analyzing the digital shift, and today he's going to help us out. Let's just get right into it. Larry, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
I'd like to share something that recently sent my mind into overdrive. I was watching a documentary, just scrolling, landed on something about suburban development, nothing special. Then the drone shot came up. Rows of houses, straight streets, perfect 90-degree angles. And I froze because I'd seen that exact image before. Not in real life, in a movie. Can you explain the visual that I am referring to? Because I swear it reminds me of a computer's motherboard.
What you're looking at is the reversal. For decades, the digital world imitated the physical one. Now the physical world is imitating the digital one, and we're watching it happen in real time without even realizing it. If you've seen Tron, you know the grid. It's this glowing geometric digital landscape. The director called it a visual metaphor for the internal architecture of a computer. Circuits, nodes, data moving through straight lines. But here's what was interesting when I started digging. The term grid itself comes from computer architecture. It's literally how we visualize the flow of information. The physical grid, the one we live on, was actually the blueprint for the digital one, not the other way around. Early computer scientists looked at cities. They looked at how electricity grids move power. They looked at how street grids move people. And they said, that's efficiency. Let's build our machines to work the same way. So, the relationship isn't new. What's new is the reversal. That drone shot you saw, the housing development laid out in modular blocks, straight streets, perfect 90-degree angles, that's not a glitch. It's the point.
That reversal is what I keep coming back to. But I think most people don't actually understand what these facilities are. When we say data center, people picture a server closet or maybe the cloud as this abstract thing. What are we actually talking about when we say hyperscale data center?
Let me explain what a data center actually is, because most people don't know. It's not a server in a closet. It's not a cloud floating somewhere. A hyperscale data center is a building the size of several football fields. It consumes enough electricity to power a small city. It requires its own substation, its own water supply, its own dedicated infrastructure, and there are thousands of them.
Oh, wow.
Northern Virginia alone has more than 200. They call it Data Center Alley. It's the largest concentration of data centers in the world. And if you fly over that region, what do you see? Miles of gray boxes, rows upon rows, and surrounding them, housing developments laid out in the exact same geometric patterns. That's not an accident.
Exactly.
That's zoning. Local governments are rezoning residential land to accommodate data centers because they bring tax revenue. They don't require schools or parks. From a city planner's perspective, they're the perfect neighbor, until you live next to one.
The visual similarity is what grabbed me first. But you're saying this isn't just aesthetic. It's about efficiency logic crossing over from digital to physical. Can you break that down?
Now, here's where the visual similarity gets interesting. In computer architecture, the grid exists for one reason: efficiency. Straight lines are the fastest way to move resources. Data packets, electricity, heat management, everything in a data center is laid out in strict modular rows. No curves, no cul-de-sacs, no wasted space. That makes sense for a computer. In the physical world, we used to build cities the same way. Manhattan, Chicago, the traditional street grid, designed for throughput, multiple paths to every destination. If one street is blocked, the system reroutes. Then came the suburbs. We abandoned the grid for winding cul-de-sacs, loops, curves, dead ends. We told ourselves it was about privacy, about escaping the efficiency of the city. But now look at a modern housing development. The winding streets are disappearing. We're going back to straight lines, 90-degree angles, modular rows. There's actually a term for this in urban planning. It's called sprawl repair. For decades, we built disconnected cul-de-sacs and dead-end loops. They were inefficient. They trapped traffic. They made it impossible to walk anywhere. Now planners are literally going back in and connecting those loops, punching through dead ends, creating grids again. The language they use is telling. They talk about connectivity, throughput, node access. These aren't words from urban planning textbooks from the 1950s. These are words from network engineering. We are retrofitting our physical neighborhoods to function like networks because our lives now depend on network efficiency. So, the visual similarity between a data center and a housing development isn't just aesthetic. It reflects the same underlying logic: efficiency, scalability, modularity, the elimination of waste.
So we've got this efficiency logic bleeding from digital infrastructure into physical neighborhoods. But I want to talk about what happens when these facilities actually move in next door. You mentioned they don't require schools or parks. What are the real costs when a data center becomes your neighbor?
Now, data centers are moving out of industrial zones and planting themselves directly in the suburbs. They aren't just neighbors. They are massive industrial consumers sharing your infrastructure, and they are demanding that the physical world conform to their logic. Let's talk about what that actually means. A single data center can draw as much electricity as 2,000 homes. The really massive ones, up to 100,000 homes. Now, imagine that facility plugs into the same aging power grid as your neighborhood. The same substations, the same transformers. Utilities have to build massive infrastructure upgrades to support these centers. New substations, high voltage lines, and they don't just eat that cost, it ends up on your bill. Electricity costs have risen about 42% since 2019, with research suggesting data center grid upgrades contribute to these increases. You're paying to upgrade the grid so a windowless concrete box can run at full throttle 24 hours a day. Nobody voted for it. Nobody even knew it was coming.
Electricity's one thing, but I keep hearing about water. These are digital facilities. Why are they consuming water at industrial scales?
Electricity is only half the story. These facilities require millions of gallons of water daily for cooling. A single data center can use as much water as a town of 50,000 people. In Georgia, residents near new data centers report well pressure issues and sediment contamination during construction. You turn on your faucet. The water pressure is low. You assume it's drought or aging pipes, but it might be because a half mile away, a digital fortress is evaporating millions of gallons to keep servers from melting.
There's something else I want to get to: the sound. I've read about this low-frequency hum that becomes part of the landscape. What is that?
There's the sound. Data centers create a low-frequency hum from massive cooling fans. In the winter, it actually gets louder. Here's why. In summer, many data centers use closed-loop chilled water systems. They're relatively quiet. But when temperatures drop, between 35 and 50 degrees, they switch to something called free air cooling. Massive rooftop fans spin at high velocities, sucking in cold outside air. This creates a low-frequency vibration, not a roar, a hum. An eerie, mechanical breathing that never stops. Low-frequency sound travels further in cold, dense air. It vibrates through walls, through windows, through your skull. You can't block it with noise-canceling headphones because it's not sound anymore. It's vibration. At night, when traffic dies down, when the lawnmowers stop, when the birds go quiet, that hum becomes the dominant sound in your neighborhood. Residents report sleep deprivation, anxiety, a feeling of being trapped inside their own homes.
We're talking about sterilization of the landscape, paving over forests, replacing organic curves with rigid lines. But I keep thinking about that documentary, The Social Dilemma. Everyone watched it, nodded along about algorithms exploiting psychology, but nobody's connecting it to the physical infrastructure.
We're seeing a sterilization of the landscape. Forests and fields get paved over. Organic curves of old-school suburbs get replaced by rigid modular lines. The logic of the data grid is bleeding into the physical world. There's a documentary called The Social Dilemma. It's about how social media algorithms are designed to exploit human psychology. Everyone watched it and nodded along. but nobody's made the documentary about the physical infrastructure that makes all of that possible. The servers that run those algorithms live somewhere. They consume resources somewhere. They displace people somewhere. We have outsourced the physical cost of the digital world to specific communities. And those communities are starting to look like the digital world because they've been colonized by it.
You looked at architectural guidelines for these new developments. What did you find?
I looked at the architectural guidelines for several new developments near data centers. What I found was striking. The guidelines prioritize uniformity, repetition, predictability. The same modular layouts, the same setbacks, the same color palettes. These neighborhoods aren't designed for human flourishing. They're designed for visual coherence from 400 feet up. It's the view from the drone that matters, not the view from the sidewalk. That, to me, is the inversion. The digital perspective is becoming the primary one. We are designing our physical spaces to look good from above because that's how we evaluate them now. Satellite view, drone footage, aerial photography. The experience of the person walking down the street is secondary to the image of the neighborhood as a whole. And that image, increasingly, is a grid.
Is this by design? Is someone sitting in a room intentionally making neighborhoods look like motherboards?
So back to the original question, is this by design? The answer is yes, but not in the way you might think. There's no conspiracy. No one is sitting in a room drawing up neighborhoods to look like motherboards. But the forces that shape our built environment, efficiency, scalability, tax incentives, zoning laws, infrastructure costs, are all pushing in the same direction. Data centers need cheap land, reliable power, and access to fiber optic cables. Suburbs need tax revenue without the cost of new schools or police services. The two needs align. And when they align, the physical result is the grid. Straight lines, modular rows, no curves, no waste, no organic growth. Just pure engineered geometry.
We think of the digital world as something we access, something separate. But you're saying the infrastructure is reshaping physical reality, where we live, what we pay, what we hear, what we drink.
We think of the digital world as something we access, something separate from our physical lives. But the infrastructure that supports it is reshaping where we live, how our neighborhoods are built, what we hear at night, what we pay for electricity, and whether we can drink from our own wells. The documentary I watched showed me a neighborhood that looked like a motherboard, and for a second it felt like a glitch, like my eyes were playing tricks on me. But the more I looked, the more I realized it wasn't a glitch, it was the point. We are building the physical world to mirror the digital one, not because we decided to, but because the logic of the grid, the logic of efficiency, of throughput, of non-stop operation has become the only logic that matters.
I want to end with that image from Tron. The grid was fiction, a world inside a computer, controlled by code. Now you're saying it's outside.
The grid from Tron was fiction, a world inside a computer, designed by programmers, controlled by code, a metaphor for how information moves. Now it's outside. And it's your neighbor. It's the substation humming behind your house. It's the water pressure dropping on a summer afternoon. It's the low-frequency drone that keeps you awake on a cold winter night. The grid doesn't just want your land. It wants your silence. It wants your water. It wants your electrical capacity. And it takes these things not because it's malicious, but because that's how it's designed. Efficiency at scale. No curves, no waste, no pause, no concern for the people who live inside its geometry. We are building the world to mirror our digital architecture. And in doing so, we are discovering something uncomfortable. The suburban dream, quiet, private, separate from industry, was built for a different era. An era before the cloud needed a body. Now the cloud has a body. It's a gray box with a hum. And it's sitting near schools in Virginia. It's affecting wells in Georgia. It's raising your electric bill. It's rewriting zoning laws in your own town while you're not paying attention. You can call it progress. You can call it infrastructure. But if you live close enough to see the straight lines from your window or hear the hum on a cold winter night, you might call it something else. The grid is here. It's not a simulation. It's not a metaphor. It's the physical reality we are building, one modular row at a time. And the question I keep coming back to is this. If the physical world is being designed to look like a computer, when do we stop being the people who live in it and start being the data moving through it?
Our guest today echoed a warning from James Bridle. If the world is a computer, we're just the data moving through it. But data doesn't have a soul, and it certainly doesn't have a voice. We'll leave you with that thought. In a world designed to be a processor, the most powerful thing you can be is uncomputable. Stay messy, stay human, and stay loud. Thanks for joining us inside the box. See you at the next upload. Until next time.